I want to look at and discuss with you guys what I personally think about the most recent Scarlet and Violet competitive trailer that was shown after Pokemon Worlds 2022. Now, you see, I did actually record my reaction to the final match, basically from the final match between Eduardo and Guillermo. I hope I'm pronouncing those two names correctly. Probably not. I'm sorry for that. But I basically recorded from there to the very end. So basically it was my reaction to everything. But the audio on my end was so inexcusable that in the end I decided to just forget all that and just record a new analysis on the newest Pokemon trailer. So without further ado, let's just get started. Because there are a few things that I do want to say about it. So number one, I just want to mention, like already off the bat, I have something to say. Basically, you could see that there's these like crystals in the back, and they've really made it a point to basically have crystals as like some sort of theme. We saw it at the very end of the second Scarlet and Violet trailer. Then there's Terastalization, which is basically crystallized Pokemon. And if you've ever seen Kayla's Capsule's theory on what those crystals actually meant at the end of the second trailer, then you know there's a lot to do with quantum time crystals and a bunch of things with crystals. So I just figured that I wanted to mention these, like all these shards that are just placed as an aesthetic background. And so I just thought it would be interesting to mention. It makes me really think that there is some sort of deeper meaning to these crystals given how much they have appeared. Now, first of all, you could see this gear move. Like, I'm sure a lot of you already know what this move is. Like, I have it in the back of, it's in the back of my tongue as to what this move is. Like, I think I know it, like it increases one of your stats or something, but yeah, just showing some new moves that we haven't seen yet before animated in the game. So number one, I want to mention this very beginning. A sequence where you could basically see what would happen right before a match. Similarly to how in Sword and Shield, you would basically see this, you would see these trainer cards and you could like give your own pose, all these type of things. It'd show what version of the game you have, it'd show your name, the number you chose, etc, etc. And it seems like we're gonna get similar things here, but instead it's gonna be basically your name tag, it looks like, for your school, which I think is a really cool addition. Instead of showing what version of the game you have, they're showing which school you go. I think it really works well and is really immersive in the world and very creative on their part, I personally think. Now we actually do get what's most likely the official names of the two protagonists of the game, the canon names at least, which in the Japanese version here, it's for the female one, Ahoy, and for the male, it would be Haruto. And in the English, I'm pretty sure it's Julia, if I'm not mistaken, for the female, and for the male, I'm pretty sure it's Florian. I personally love the names for both languages, and I really do think that they fit the characters very nicely. And I also just want to mention, I really love the aesthetic here. I feel like they've really gone for this modern aesthetic, which I really like. So we get to see Cloyster, and we also get a better idea of the school here. We can see speakers to the top right there, and that really interests me. I have a feeling that this will probably be a location that we go to quite often. Probably not like too often, but it really shows you that this is like a real school setting, and it's very interesting. Now, there is one thing that I question, and that is, where exactly is this? Because we know in back of the school, there should be a mountain. But this can't be the front, because then we'd see where the school is actually located. So I'm actually very curious to see where this is, because I feel like it's a very complicated angle to basically not show any other landmarks, because it's in a very landmark-oriented area that I feel like you'd have to at least see something. So I am very curious as to that. And we can see something that almost looks like a barn type of area to the bottom right there. And like all types of objects just placed throughout. So it's like probably like a recess playground type of area for the school. I also really like that this is a setting for VGC battles because it's a very happy aesthetic compared to, like, let's say Sword and Shield. It's like you're in a stadium, battle, 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 tense, everyone's watching you, and they still wanted to keep the entire thing of people watching you. And I find it interesting that not only are students cheering you on, but then also adults. So what, can anyone come to the school? Oh yeah, they did actually mention that any age could come to the school. That's a great attention to detail there. I guess that's why, wow, honestly very impressive on their part to, like, the world is very immersive because everything just makes sense so far, which I think is really cool. Here we get to see Cyclozar for the first time. So I know there is a lot of theories as to what this Pokemon could be, and I know a lot of theorists theorize that Cyclozar is the basically present form of Koraidon and Miraidon, and I personally don't think so, and it's simply because I feel like then it would be a legendary as well. I feel like they would want to make the present form a legendary Pokemon. Perhaps there is a reason for that. So I'm not, like, crossing it off completely, but I feel like it's probably almost like a branched off version of them. Whether or not it will evolve into them is another story. I personally don't think it'll either evolve, because we could see it here as a level 50 Cyclozar. It definitely would have evolved at this point, and seeing that it's being used competitively must mean that it's like the final form. So I do wonder if it'll actually have a pre-evolution. That would be interesting. I also feel size-wise it's a bit too small in comparison to the other legendaries, but who knows, maybe there's gonna be a plot twist that Cyclozar has another form, which is like some ultimate, powerful, who knows what type of Pokemon, so I'm excited to see where they go with that, with the potential of a third legendary Pokemon. I also love the amount of details that you could just see on Cyclozar. Oh my, I just realized that I had a filter on my computer this entire time. I'm sorry for that. I hope that it didn't ruin the screen too much. Maybe if it is that bad, I'll try to see if I could do anything in post-editing. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I love how you can see all these details on Cyclozar, and there is so much love put into each Pokemon, and I think it really brings so much life into these games. It's so incredible. Also, I want to mention, in my analysis of the third trailer, I actually mentioned how it was a bit strange how none of the characters were looking at you, but at the very least now they did update it that the faces do at least face a bit more closely, it looks like, so that's cool. You could also see in the very back there, like, it was similar to in Sword and Shield, how James Turner specifically wanted to put in these, like, toys that Pokemon could play around with, that James Turner saw in the Detective Pikachu set, and you can see that in the back there as well. So, not that specifically, but it looks like similar things, so it's probably like a thing where Pokemon could play, which I think is nice. So to Dragon and Normal type, so if this is really related to Koraidon and Miraidon, that would basically mean Koraidon would be Dragon something, and Miraidon would be Dragon something. Now, I do find that interesting because while it did make sense for them to be they are legendaries. While it did make sense for them to be Dragon types, I did kind of theorize by myself that maybe they would have different types. Like, I thought that maybe Miraidon could be like possibly electric and steel type, and maybe Koraidon a fighting ground, such a style, but no, they probably will be Dragon types. You could also see top half looks more like Miraidon, and its bottom half looks like Koraidon. What I mean by that is, if you look at its hands, that's Koraidon's like pads. Like, Koraidon has these pads on its fingers and such. It has very similar legs to Koraidon. But then on the top, it has like the head shape of Miraidon, the like circle type of thing. And I think that the tail is like almost like a mix of Koraidon and Miraidon, kind of. Mostly Miraidon though. So here, let me just go back a bit. So here we could see a new layout for, we could see the trainer battles now. We haven't actually seen that yet, how it looks. And I really like the aesthetic. So you can see how many Pokemon they have on each side. That is actually something that we haven't had before, I don't think. Because generally, it always felt very random when you'd be able to see how many Pokemon the other opponent had. So I like that now it's just part of the main menu. Because that is helpful sometimes to know. Now you can see that the text, it's very interesting. Instead of it being in the middle of the screen, it instead covers the box with all the information, so I find that a bit interesting. Now here you get to see a new move, Shipogiri. And I don't know, it looks like pretty overpowered until you see how much HP they lose. That is like half of their HP, which is a lot. So I don't think it'll be completely overpowered because I'm pretty sure Substitute only takes a bit, like not this much, so I do find that interesting. And I know it's strange to mention, but I really like how the Substitute doll looks in this game. And also Magnezone looks really good in this game. All the Pokemon just so much detail, so much love. It's so incredible. And then you see Titan here, which I just want to mention how the scaling of the Pokemon is like much bigger in comparison to the trainers. Which in the third trailer, you can see in comparison to Grusha, for example, Titan was relatively small. So I don't know if they changed its scale or if there will be variant sizes. But when you look at Pokemon in the wild, you don't actually really see any variants at all. Or at the very least, it's like only so slightly. So I feel like it's been very unclear whether or not we'll get size variations in this game or not. You could also see even more of the playground, like you could see an entire setup there. So this definitely is like a playground type of area. Here you could see Azumarill. You know, sometimes you just question what Pokemon you're seeing. Marill's the small one, right? I really question these things sometimes. It's crazy. But I do want to mention, just look at its HP bar and just look at how quickly it goes down, which makes me think how this game will probably be a lot easier because I feel like in tougher games, like for example in Black and White, the HP bar goes down more slowly. But that, again, it could just be a hardware thing, and it probably has no correlation whatsoever. But either way, I do think it is interesting to mention how quickly the HP bar goes down, so just look at the HP bar for a moment. Like, I feel like that's just really quick. I also want to mention that here, you could see the two characters to the... Yeah, you can see the two characters to the left there actually disappear for 2 frames, which as a 30 FPS game would basically just be 1 frame. Like if it were 60 FPS it would be 1 frame. It just because the game runs on 2s. Now that I think about it, that may be a bit difficult to understand, but basically games run on frames and depending on how... And if you've ever heard of 60 FPS, 30 FPS, basically 60 FPS, every single frame has a different image, but on 30 FPS, it's every other frame. So here you can see 2 frames that everything just remains the same, and then it changes again. So basically, it's like 1 frame. But either way, you can see them disappear. So I do find that interesting, but it's very hard to notice, so it's not like, you know, no one's gonna be upset if that happens, and it may just be like a developer thing, and it'll probably get fixed either way once it gets released. And I also want to mention, so number 1, new item, I think it's really cool. Basically, you copy the stat boost of another Pokemon, and I really think that it will be very useful, especially with some Pokemon, depending on what their matchups would be, and especially in double battles, I think it would be a very useful item. And I also really want to mention, I know, like, I have so many weird things that I just like to point out that I really like. But, the stat boost animation? Like, it disappears in, like, these sparks of flames. How cool is that? Like, I love it. Then you can see Colossal, Terrastalize, and, into a water type. And then Rotom Wash will use a Hydro Pump into it, which will not be very effective. And then activate its Steam Engine ability, which basically gives it a speed boost, I think. Yeah, it's a very... So there will be a lot of creative ways to use Terastalizing. Not only like stab and type, chart, whatever, but abilities will also be impacted as well, which I think it just kind of change things up, which I think is definitely very healthy. I know maybe competitive players may not like it, but I think since it's not like a permanent thing, I think these temporary change-ups it's just very healthy for a long-running franchise such as Pokemon. You could also see the speed of which the HP goes down, which I mentioned makes me believe that this game will be one of the easier ones, especially from an open world perspective. If I were a game developer making a game that's meant to appeal to all types of ages, and will be the first open world, which would be pretty complicated for children to understand, especially if it's like, let's say, their first video game, I would definitely not want to make the games difficult, so I would assume that the games will be more easy. But yeah, the HP bar goes down really quickly, so again, I could just be making things up, but I do think that signifies an easier game. But again, I could really be wrong here. Also, you can see, a lot of things from Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl have made its way into Scarlet and Violet, which I think is really interesting. For example, you can see this, image, the style of the PNG here is very reminiscent, is basically the same style as the sprites from Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And while I will miss the 2D pixel art of the old Pokemon, it's like, whatever, I guess. As much as I prefer it. But it's not like this is bad, it's just the 2D pixel art is, I guess, just more favorable. And I'm not sure why they changed it, because it worked, but either way, I guess it does actually... I guess it wouldn't look as good, to show its sprite that big. Like here you could see it's a big image being shown, and that would probably look pretty bad with like these just a few pixels. So I mean, I see it, I guess. But also the type logos from Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl have also made its way into Scarlet and Violet, so I think that's really interesting. Here you can see Breloom. I really like Breloom. Against Happiny. And here's a new item that basically that basically increases the chance. I'm pretty sure it's Skill Link, the ability is called, where you have more chances to hit a Pokemon with a multi-hit move. Which, I mean, is probably like the most balanced new addition that has been shown so far in this trailer. So here, let's look at the HP bar. Let's look at the HP bar again. And as you can see, it goes down really quick, and it actually one-shots Happiny. Here you can see Gallade, love Gallade. Tyranitar, who terastalizes into a ghost type. Because why not? And then Gallade uses Infight, close combat. There we go. Also, the ghost thing for the ghost type terastalization is the same, I think, as the ghost from Pokemon, like that Lost Tower type of location, like where you have to fight a ghost. So yeah, that's cool. It's really cute. And I really love Terastalization. Like, I am so excited for this game. It's honestly amazing. Like, I can't wait to play it and just explore this world. It's so cool. You could also see a sandstorm is going up. But that would also mean that, I'm pretty sure ghost types still take damage from sandstorm. I could be wrong. And terastalize into a different type, then they could start taking damage from that weather condition. So there really are a lot of things to look out for, which I think is really cool. And I can only imagine the amount of effort it must take from them to put in all these changes and just balance the game as well as they can. Then here it uses a Terra Blast, which is basically a stab move from each type. So I guess each type has its own move animation, which, like for example, this ghost one I think is really pretty. And then when it hits, the amount of particles is like insane. Oh, it's gorgeous, this game. But yeah, that's all there is to this trailer. Basically then just speaks again about the Terrastilized Pikachu event. So yeah, I'm so excited for these games. Let me know if you guys will pick up these games when they drop, and if you're excited for these things, because like I could just talk all day about how excited I am about these games and just how incredible it looks. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave down your thoughts about this trailer as well in the comments below, and see you next time. Bye!